Good morning. I realize now Chris sort of set me up to disappoint you all with his ice cream comment. So hopefully now that I've explained that there's no ice cream, hopefully I have nowhere to go but up from here. I'd like to talk to you about the opportunity to build a world-leading food industry cluster here in Oregon, one that has the potential to create valuable, sustainable jobs in every corner of the state. But first I want to take a few minutes to introduce you to Tillamook, the company, and the place. As Sam mentioned, we brought a Loaf Love Tour bus here. Our brand ambassadors drive these all over the western United States, winning new fans for our great tasting ice cream, cheese, and yogurt. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're all going to be able to fit into this bus and make the trip over the pass on Highway 6. So we're going to go with Plan B here, and I'm going to share some video.
Oregon was a territory in the Great Migration West. The wagon trains came in the 1840s, and they kept going west, and this is as far west as you could go. You or I or anyone else could show up here and claim 640 acres, and it was yours if you made any improvements to the land. This is an alluvial plain. If you look 6 miles east of here, the mountains come onto a flat plain where the native grasses are not just substantial, but nutritious. And 5 rivers flowing into Tillamook Bay meant that you always had a water source, and the quality and quantity of the water sources included endless rain. And so it's kind of like predestined to be a dairy property.
You know, it really starts at the farm. We have to start with a great product, really, to get to a great cheese. It's only as good as the milk you start with.
I do believe that Tillamook represents this region very well because of how it was created. And it was created by a farmer's co-op, and it is ran by a farmer's co-op.
They're the owners of the company. You know, they're the ones paying us every day to make this quality Tillamook cheese.
With them, it's tied very directly to the land, and it matters every day. It takes incredible dedication. It takes a willingness not to look at profit, but to look at purpose.
Tillamook is where the pride is at. That's what keeps our dairy industry flowing. That's what keeps everybody working. It's the largest employer of the area. So the products are really a direct reflection of the whole region.
They bring in 1 million tourists a year here. And that alone is magnificent because people come here for no other reason than to get an ice cream cone at the cheese factory.
This is truly a farmer-owned and farmer-driven business, and the values inherent in that, meaning the values of these dairy farmers in this county, really do translate into the way we make cheese every day and the way we run this company.
You can be just about anywhere in the States, and someone asks you where you're from. Oh man, Tillamook ice cream, Tillamook cheese. I just love your products. And it really pumps you up.
As CEO at Tillamook, I have the honor and the privilege of working for the farming families in Tillamook County, some of whom have been dairying in Tillamook for 4 or 5 generations. The Tillamook County Creamery Association has operated as a cooperative for 105 years, which makes us pretty unique in the world of branded consumer products. Tillamook, in fact, is the #1 grocery brand in the Pacific Northwest, edging out large global brands like Coke and Bud Light. And we're number 20 in the western United States. In 2013, our best year by far, we'll finish up with over $600 million in revenue, over $500 million of which is traded outside of Oregon. And we directly employ 700 people in Tillamook County, Clackamas County, and in Morrow County, where we're completing a $90 million addition to our plants out there and adding manufacturing jobs. We also employ another 700 to 800 at our member farms. But statistics tell only part of the story, as you saw from the video. Our farming family values, unwavering commitment to quality, and the support that we enjoy from the communities in which we operate and from our employees really set us apart. These are going to continue to be a huge part of our competitive advantage going forward, but that said, they're not going to be enough. In the coming years, to stay competitive, we're going to have to do more. The global food industry in which we compete, and it is increasingly global, is dynamic, competitive, and is facing some significant challenges. As a global society, we're going to need to figure out how to feed as many as 9 billion people over the next 25 to 30 years. And as hundreds of millions of people move into the middle class, they're looking for more access to protein, more access to safe and high-quality foods. It's going to take all of the resources of the planet to solve that problem. In the developing world, including here in the U.S., trends in food consumption are rapidly evolving. Consumers are increasingly looking for a higher level of transparency in the food supply chain and are concerned with the environmental impact of their food. They're looking for more healthy, real, and local options for their food sources. These are big, interesting, hard-to-solve challenges. And I would argue they make the food business just as sexy and as potentially valuable as sportswear, consumer electronics, IT, and healthcare. Of course, where challenges of this magnitude exist, there's great opportunity. And the companies that solve these big problems, for example, figure out how to produce real food at a scale to meet the demand I discussed earlier, are going to reap the benefits. And the states and the regions that foster growth of those types of companies are going to also reap significant rewards. To seize this opportunity, at Tillamook, we are aggressively pursuing a bold and innovative vision. We currently have 40 new products in our pipeline, which is a significant multiple of the total number of products Tillamook has introduced over the last couple of decades. In many of those products, we're developing natural formulations that are easier to manufacture and less expensive than their artificial alternatives. Next, on the international front, next year our exports will grow by over $50 million, going from around 2% of company revenue to almost 10%. I'll argue that the same opportunity exists for a bold and innovative vision for the food industry in Oregon, one that leverages all of the state's unique assets and by doing so creates jobs and drives our economy. We have some significant competitive advantages in the food industry here in Oregon. A great agricultural base, close proximity to really large markets in the western United States and in Asia, and notably our own special brand of Portlandia-style foodie culture. The development of an innovative, globally competitive food cluster in Oregon is one of our best bets for helping to achieve the Oregon Business Plan's vision of creating high-paying, sustainable jobs throughout the state. This sector plays to our strengths, and the benefits will be significant. Those include family wage manufacturing jobs, massive opportunity for growth in traded sector revenues, an economic injection for rural economies, where, of course, most of agriculture resides, and as we heard this morning, some of the most significant underemployment and low-wage issues exist, and an inflow of investment capital and research dollars. Senator Wyden recognized this again this morning when he talked about the fact that we need to grow stuff in Oregon, make things in Oregon, add value to them in Oregon, and then ship them somewhere. The food industry is already an important industry in Oregon, with the third highest number of manufacturing jobs and 85% traded sector revenues. And we have some good programs already in the works, including Oregon State University's Food Innovation Center and the Northwest Food Processor Association's clustering program. But what I'm talking about is propelling Oregon into a leadership position in this dynamic, challenging global market, jump-starting this effort and doubling or tripling the state's food industry, and building large companies that add value to our state's agricultural products and therefore reap significant profits. So what will it take to create a position of leadership for Oregon in this dynamic global industry? Well, it's a common theme today. talent, and an environment that fosters innovation. When I joined Tillamook a little over a year ago, the team and I laid out an aggressive new product development roadmap. And since Tillamook hadn't done a lot of food innovation over the years, we decided we needed a food science partner. So what did I do? I got on a plane and I flew to Boulder, Colorado, the self-professed epicenter of the natural foods industry. Now, sure, I would have much rather worked with a company in Oregon to do our food science development projects. So why did I go to Boulder? Because Boulder is where there's a strong, large congregation of experienced food executives and food entrepreneurs and the kind of talent that we were looking for. For Oregon to attract and retain the kind of talent into this sector that's the lifeblood of any innovative, fast-growing industry, the people we need to believe that they're coming to a place of opportunity filled with other talented, like-minded professionals who are committed to the industry. A deliberate, well-funded effort to develop a world-leading food cluster would be a great investment for Oregon. That effort should include, first, more investment in our institutions of higher learning around ag science and food science, and in particular programs that bring together entrepreneurship and business with food science. Second, community college and high school vocational programs that train people for the skilled jobs needed to propel the industry forward. We heard that from Senator Merkley this morning. I'll share a brief personal story. My grandfather dropped out of school in 5th grade. My father went to a Portland area high school and was given vocational training in the lithography industry, and that led to a successful career over 50 years in that industry. And through that, he was able to create an environment in which I could thrive and be the first person in my family to go to college, showing the importance of that vocational training, not just then, but today as well. Third, we need a well-funded and organized campaign to brand Oregon as the center of food innovation, promoting this message both here in Oregon and throughout the rest of the U.S. and the world. And finally, development programs modeled after the tech sector, which include incubators, aggressive recruiting of established companies, and concerted efforts to attract capital into this industry in the state. This effort should begin by bringing together food industry leaders and entrepreneurs from throughout Oregon to begin a dialogue around building a stronger cluster within the context of the Oregon Business Plan. Ultimately, we want to get to a place where our universities are attracting the best and brightest into our ag science and food science programs, where the world's food entrepreneurs consider Oregon the place to congregate, to innovate, and to share ideas, where Oregon-based food startups are attracting meaningful investment capital, and where food executives choose to move their companies because this is where the action in food is. Other states are beginning to chase this opportunity, of course, but I believe Oregon is well positioned to lead in this area. I mentioned earlier some of our advantages, but I think our best advantage might be the one that's evident in this room here today. The fact that we do have a plan, the fact that we are talking with each other, makes me believe that with this pioneering Oregon spirit, we can lead in the food industry and create great jobs in the process. Thank you.